Welcome to Ultimate Pool The Masters Week 18 highlight show. Brian Halcrow is the only Ultimate Pool professional in this group, but Brian is struggling for form and it makes the group very interesting indeed. He'll be taking on Andrew Herriot in our first match, followed by Cole Bedford, who's going very well in the Challenger Series, taking on Ian Stagg. Into our first match then, and Brian Halcrow got off to a good start, going 2-0 up, and has the break in frame 3.
You could just be having a six-red shootout for places. So there was something riding on it, but we were talking about this earlier where somebody that's going first just wants to register a good time.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily want to register a world record time. And if memory serves me right, I think Brian did go out and just, you know, well, there you go, Brian, off you go. And he knocks in 15 seconds.
But he made 2 off the break, didn't he? And that sort of set the tone. He actually could have gone a smidge quicker as well. He probably could have done a 14-second, had to wait for a ball to pass the cue ball. But I agree with you, yeah. If you're going first, I think players are working out that it's better not to over-rush and set something in the early mid-20s. You're not going to try and set a sub-20. You're not actively trying to rush, because if you do that, if you try and beat 15 seconds going first, you could set yourself a worse time because of it. So you want to make sure of a time. Yep. And going second, if you've got 25 seconds to beat, then and you're going comfortably, you're not going to rush to try and get the 15-second record. So I do think there's not going to be that many scenarios where we see a player really force the 15 seconds.
The only scenario where I could potentially, it's a nice shot for Brian, just cover the top left pocket. We know that it doesn't really stand for much in international rules to cover the pocket, but just gives him a little bit of insurance here. Yeah,
and the 8 ball in the middle of the top cushion as well. It's just not that inviting for Andrew.
Just going back to the 6 reds. The only scenario where I could potentially see it happening is where there's a 3-way 6 reds, and maybe the person that's going second of the 3 knows that they've got something to beat, but they potentially don't need to register the fastest, and maybe they're a little bit more relaxed. So
I do think it will happen naturally, as in the same way that Brian did it. Lovely shot from Brian to make that ball. He wanted to be on the one in the right centre, and he's not, though. That's the problem with the shot he's played. So it's not going to help him.
Can he see the yellow down?
I don't think he can see anything.
No, he's a bit stuck here, isn't he?
Yeah. But they're just finishing off the 6 red as we see him play a little swerve here, and he doesn't get it. So Andrew Herriot's going to get cue ball in hand. And big question, does the red go to the bottom left-hand corner? If it does, this is a wide open chance.
Every single week, this camera deceives me. Every single week I say it doesn't go, and then he goes and knocks it in.
Main camera, it flies in.
Main camera, it flies in.
Overhead, it doesn't go.
Yeah, it flies in.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Absolutely flies in.
Yeah, so this is a great chance for Andrew. Right, I'm going to finish off the 6 red, so before I lose track. With that 6 red, I think somebody will get that 15 seconds if they do what Brian did, and that's there'll be a time when someone makes 2 off the break, and all of a sudden it's just going to happen. They're not going to rush. It's just going to be 4 stun shots in front of them, and they'll end up being around that sort of mark.
Yeah, what I will say about the 6 reds is when it was first introduced, right back when Ultimate Pool got going, it was a bit of an anomaly. It was a bit of a new thing. Players were sort of scared by it. Now they're practicing it.
They're working it out.
They're actively putting it as part of the practice routine. A lot of them, don't get me wrong, don't do. But, for the most part, I know that Sean Story practices it. That's the reason why he's so good at it. But I know for a fact Brian won't have turned up that night thinking that he's going to set 15 seconds. No. It's just one of those things that can happen. It is a bit of a freak result, if you would. But Gareth Potts actively practices it, has set, as we've seen on his social media, 12 seconds, I think, on his own.
I've seen a few people that go sub 15 on social media, but to do it in a competitive situation is another deal.
Yeah, I'm sort of still waiting for Gareth to do it on the big stage, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. He's set ridiculous times in practice, but when you know that there's nothing riding on it, your arm's loose, you're able to go for these things. Yeah,
and also in the minute it goes wrong, you just set them up and go again. It's a completely different deal. But that's what practice is for. Oh, bad miss from Andrew, because he got himself in the absolute perfect position. All he's got to do is drop that in, and he's got the natural to get onto the 8 ball off the last red. So disappointing mistake from Andrew, and 2-0 down already. Doesn't want to give this one away. Brian does need to get this positional shot right, because if he goes past the straight, you can't get on that 8-ball. And he's a long way short of it.
He was just working that angle out then, and he'd left himself not enough angle. He could have left himself a lot nicer there.
Well, it does clip. The question for me is, can he, when he clips it in, can he use the red to hold the cue ball? I think he's a little bit too thin for that. Oh, great shot.
Wow, that is so unfortunate.
That was such a good effort, because you saw the cue ball sort of arcing. But the disappointing thing for Brian is, whilst we can say this will feel unlucky to him, it's the shot before that's hurt him. He wouldn't have wanted or needed to play that shot if he gets the previous shot right. Huge shot in the match though. 2-1 if this goes in rather than the 3-0.
Yep.
Brian Halcrow won the next frame as Andrew missed the 8-ball for a clearance and the buzzer counter-cleared.
Yeah. He's left Brian a chance here.
Yeah, he's fine.
I think he's tried to cover the red, make it awkward.
The only thing I'll say is, when Brian, assuming Brian plays a plant on that red, he's just got to be careful that red doesn't go and sit on those yellows. This is one of those, I quite like the fact he's taken the one in the middle of the table first, so he can just drop this on. But even then, you know, you want to be on it straight away and then just get the cue ball out.
Yeah, I think if he just plays it dead weight, the cue ball should just stay pretty close to where it is. He should just be on this. He should be on the ball that he's going to be using to plant.
Yeah, it's not gone well.
No, it's not. I'm not sure why he played it with so much pace.
Yeah, it's a strange one. He played it with quite a lot of spin as well.
Yeah, was he trying to pot them both, do you think?
Wow.
If he was, it was a long stretch. I mean,
he didn't need to. He could have put, as long as he gets the contact right. I mean, for me, that was absolutely dead weight and hold on it. He was just going to be worried about what his next shot was afterwards, I think.
Yeah, and he's still not out. He's now got another plant.
He's still fine here, because there's a big enough gap on the bottom cushion to get to the red that he's caused a little bit of a problem for himself. But it's not the worst last ball because of where the 8-ball is. Yeah,
it's just if he plays the plant now and this red again lands a bit awkward, I mean, he's fine. He's fine now. But he's made this a lot harder than he needed to.
Potentially, yeah. It could have gone wrong, because that red could have sat right against the yellows.
Even Brian may well turn around and say, I played this exactly how I intended. It's all right for us to sit here in the commentary box and say otherwise. But I think has he left this straight?
I think he's okay. He can pinch it. He just has to get the cue ball past the yellows. He's absolutely fine. He could even play cushion first if he really wanted to.
Yeah, there's loads of options here.
Yeah, and he's just going to flick it cushion first. Well, he's not on the 8.
Oh, I think. Well, what has he played there? If he's on this 8-ball, he's got away with murder. Yeah. What has he played there?
He just called it too thick.
Again, I think we're being deceived here. Let's see if he can we're just going to get down and knock this in. I mean, the way he's looking at this, I don't think he's on this.
I think he can bend it. No, he's not. That's a really poor error for Brian.
He's got it. What a shot that is.
Brian Halcrow puts himself in a world of trouble. Comes up big, though. That is a massive shot in this match.
What a shot.
Have a watch of this. This is something else. If he doesn't make that shot, you feel like it's going 3-2, but 4-1, he's got a little bit of separation as we get towards the halfway point in this match. And both players cut breaking. How about this leave off the cut break then, Will? I mean, these come out, I mean, about as good as they can. I'd almost fancy you for these, Will. I really would.
Listen, anything's possible when I'm at the table. Anything is possible.
A delicate opening shot on the red in the left centre, but then everything else is just laid out in front of you. I am assuming that the one by the 8-ball goes past the other red to the bottom right corner. That's the only thing. If it doesn't, you just have to work those in the right order. So even if the one by the 8 ball doesn't pass the other one, and I think it does, he may well not go that way anyway. Get straight in on the one furthest right now is perfect. Just roll it through. And then the one in the middle of the 3 reds goes bottom left, and that opens up the other one to the left centre. So these are sort of all connect up perfectly without having to do anything. Well, it's fine. He's come too far to play the way I was talking about. He can now just, as long as he slides by the red and it looks natural to do so, looks absolutely perfect. Oh, but don't pop the cue ball. Don't pop the cue ball. Oof. Both these players dicing with death at the back end of these finishes.
It's interesting if you look at how Andrew cues. He actually holds the cue quite far away from his chin. If you're watching there, it's actually not flush to his chin. Oh, wow.
The next 2 frames were shared. We joined Brian Halcrow at the table in frame 9 after a prolonged safety battle.
So he's going to pot to do it. Does he lay the snooker again? Or does he back him? I mean, if he ends up now trying to go into it off his last red, then it's a little bit crazy
it's
tactically.
It's a little bit crazy if he does, after all this hard work that he's done. Well, he had his opportunity to win the frame for me 4 minutes ago and didn't take it. And now Andrew's got a chance. He's got an angle now just to cannon into the yellow and 8 ball, and everything's on. Oh, he's missed the pot though. What has he done there?
He's just pinched it too much.
Oh, wow.
He just pinched it too much.
Just took his eye off the pot. He had so much margin for error there as well. After all that, Andrew's going to be kicking himself because I'm not quite sure where we were on the clock when this frame started, but it's definitely getting on for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's about that. Wow, what a let-off for Brian Halcrow, who for me missed his opportunity to win this frame and almost is hanging on from there, and now he's got an 8 ball to win it and 3 clear with under 5 minutes on the clock.
Brian's going to be so relieved to get over the line here. He's missed it. Wow, he's butchered it. And where's the cue ball as well? No, he's all right.
Well, we've talked about confidence. We've talked about form. That is it right there. Crunch moment, pressure on. You know, comfortable 8 ball that just needs to be cued in, and the confidence isn't there to make it from Brian. Both going in there doesn't hurt Andrew.
It doesn't hurt him, but he wouldn't. I think he would have preferred it not to have gone in. He's just going to be going away from this last yellow, but he should be okay. I must say, Andrew's actually looked the more settled of the 2 players, even though he is behind. When he's at the table, he does look more confident, like he's going to get the finishes.
It's sort of almost striking the ball with more authority.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, we've got a match on our hands, folks.
Yeah, all of a sudden, 1 frame in it, 3 minutes 56.
There was another tactical battle in the next frame, allowing Brian Halcrow to cling on for the win. He'll take on the winner of our next match in tonight's group final. Next match, it is Cole Bedford taking on Ian Stagg.
Yeah, I don't know how much it's going to affect him tonight. He did just say that he hasn't played as much over the last couple of weeks because of that, but he couldn't ask for a nicer layout for an opening break. Look at these yellows.
I mean, how about that? Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, there's an argument for both colour sets there, but yellow's the obvious choice. And
yeah, he's got. Let's build some mileage in this. He's got half a positional shot to play in a minute, and that's about it.
Yeah, Cole is quite a quick, aggressive player. Don't expect him to take too long around the table.
Yeah, he's got a sort of unique style. Very confident player. He can actually play. I've played against him. I've seen him play a number of times. He can play to a really, really high level, capable of running out a lot of frames on the trot, but also capable of just getting frustrated and losing a little bit of focus out there. So it's a case of, can he hold himself together and Well, I said let's build some mileage in this finish, and there you go. Positional shot, the half a positional shot he had to play has gone wrong. He'll still just try and drop this in. Wow, he's changing. Not sure he's going to have to hit this one really well.
He's
done well.
Okay. Yeah.
Thought he'd still take the hampered queuing shot on, because you drop it in, you're always going to be on the other one, but this will do.
Yeah, so he gets out of dodge there, 1-0.
Cole Bedford also won the next 2 frames to race into a 3-0 lead.
Massively involved in the planning of them and getting them out on social media, and I look forward to every single announcement.
So any praise, get your praise towards Ultimate Pool, and any criticism, make sure you get criticism to Will Caldwell's social media accounts. While we're talking about those wild cards, Cole showed us why he's potentially one that could be considered and may well not need to, because, as we've mentioned, he is right there in the Challenger rankings. That was a lovely finish to get 3-0 in front, so starting to look a tall order here for Ian Stagg. Plenty of time left in this match, and it is a race to 8 frames, but he's got an opponent that looks confident, looks busy, and looks on it. And he now needs to show us what he can do, and more importantly, show himself and Cole Bedford what he can do. That's a nice couple of positional shots. It's not too bad here, actually. The red goes past the 8 ball to right centre, so he could just drop this in and play on it into right, the last one by the 8 ball into the right centre. So definitely a route out here, but this is a delicate positional shot he has to play. He's having a look. I do think it goes, but it must be tighter than I was giving it credit for. And if it is very tight, then you want to get right behind it, and then this becomes a very difficult positional shot. Oh, he's played that beautifully. Could have done with being half a roll less if we're being ultra critical. Just because he's not right behind it, he's sort of 3/4 ball on it. In the end, picks the double out, but picks it out really well.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot from Ian.
What a visit to the table this is from where he was in what we've seen from the first 3 frames.
This one will settle him. If he can get this 8 ball, this will really settle him.
Oh,
cursed him.
What happens when he doesn't then? Does it go the other way?
You could just see that he was a little bit unsure there, wasn't he? He got up off he seemed to be in the rhythm. Was he feeling like it was going in off? Like what?
I mean, that was sort of in my mind. Was he worried about the in-off? But it wasn't that close to it. But when you are worried about it, it makes you do some funny things out there. A chance for 4-0 here. Flying through this one. Always expected him to.
Yeah, the further in front that Cole gets, he's just going to get more and more confident.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough error for Ian to respond to, isn't it? You know, that was such a lovely visit to the table to get himself in with an 8 ball for the break clearance. See if he can make a ball and give himself another chance. Certainly getting the 8 ball in motion plenty of times here, going with that cut break, but he's dry. Oh, come on then, Ian. You're going to get into this match. You're going to have to start with a finish soon. And this is definitely a chance. could have got rid of the one to the right of the 8-ball. And the reason I mention that is if he leaves the 2, one either side of the 8-ball, last 2, unless he gets a good angle on the first one of the 2, connecting those 2 up aren't guaranteed, whereas he could have got rid of, well, it's not going to get that far anyway, but I was going to say he could have got rid of the red to the right of the 8-ball and still stayed on that one to the right centre, and then he might have made the connections easier. Depends which way he saw it, really. There's a few different ways you could go there.
Yeah, Cole just not happy with that shot there. I think he's maybe had a bad contact. He's still absolutely fine, but he's murmuring to himself, suggests that he's not quite happy. But Cole just looks in complete flow now, doesn't he? He doesn't look like he's troubled at all. He does have a very unique style, like you said, just sort of up and down, buzzing around the table, having a look. Busy.
He's always, buzzing and busy. He's not, see some players and they just, smoothly float around. He's always jumpy and moving, but he's always positive as well. You always see him looking and being positive out there.
Yeah, he's got a very, very nice cue action. I think he sort of gets through the ball well.
Oh, he's got to play a good shot here. He overran that previous one when he had the perfect angle.
Yeah, he's played it nicely. I think he can just hold this into them, maybe even play it off the red. Doesn't need to when he's playing like that. 5-0. In 15 minutes.
It was so. Oh, as we see Ian go in off. Yeah, that was one of the most bizarre and bonkers 25 minutes of pool you'll ever see. With 8 minutes left on the clock, he was 6-1 down to Mick Hill. He managed to win 5 frames in the last 8 minutes. Then he wins the 6-red shootout. Then he goes straight on against Chris Manning and wins 8-1 in about 14 minutes. It was absolutely bonkers. Obviously, he goes on to win the tournament as well. But that period of play was one of the best we've seen. It was just incredible.
It had everything, didn't it?
Yeah.
It had absolutely everything.
I mean, Mick was absolutely nailed on, certain to win, and all of a sudden, it completely changed
Jordan
on him.
Didn't miss.
No,
he didn't miss. It was insane. There was a really, really big tactical frame, if I remember, between Mick and Jordan. Jordan won the tactical battle, and then he just didn't miss. I think Mick was a little bit shell-shocked, to be honest with you. But then look at what happened to Mick since.
Yeah.
Mick sort of came into the Pro Series and has been, he's, provisional number 1, won 3 tournaments, but.
Yeah, well, that was the first tournament of the year, the Pro Cup that you mentioned, and yeah, he lost first round to Jordan Shepherd, but he's the number 1 right now, isn't he? Provisionally.
You say he lost first round to Jordan Shepherd, but he probably had it taken away from him. He was. I wouldn't go as far to say he was the better player against Jordan, but he was 6-1 in front. He was flying, and all of a sudden Jordan just sort of, from nowhere really, which is Jordan Shepherd can do. Cole's motoring through here into another finish.
Yeah, he is flying. Reverse clearance this time for Cole.
Cole Bedford made it 7-0 in the next frame. 1 frame away from victory now.
You've got Ronan McCarthy, Declan Brennan, Ronan McCarthy in the form of his life, and Josh Kane and John McAllister. You can't pick a winner. You cannot, especially in the format, you cannot pick a winner from that. It's just
my worry
so
is
brutal.
That his Ultimate Pool Extra, I'll have to pick a winner in, and I don't know even how I'm meant to work.
How do you justify? How do you justify one?
Yeah.
Come on, Ian. Let's get a frame on the board. I think he deserves one after that missed 8-ball. I think he, even if it does go on to lose this, it'd be nice for him to.
Yeah, this is not as easy a chance as he's had though. He's going to have to play one good cannon, and he's got the angle to do it now. Just almost hit the gap of the yellow and the red. Just flick the yellow. Yeah, that's perfect. Beautiful shot.
Lovely.
Just got to give yourself a nice angle and then pick another gap. Easy. to sort of get yourself in this situation, think job done, and then slightly under or over hit a shot and take a shot for granted. Just got to hit the window here, which he has done. A little flick off the yellow. And now it's natural. Oh, just one more roll would have made life so much easier.
Don't miss another one.
And in it goes. Break clearance to get a frame on the board for Ian Stagg. That will make him feel an awful lot better.
The next two frames were scrappy and Cole had his chances to wrap the match up, but it was Ian Stagg that won them to get back to 7-3. Cole Bedford now has the break in frame 11.
Yeah, just looking through. I mean, he's had, what, 3-4 chances now to get this winning frame on the board and hasn't been able to do so. And there's a little bit of mileage in this frame as well. Red at the top of the tables away from the rest of the work. There's one in the middle there that's a bit fiddly to get on. These don't connect up particularly well. That's a nice shot, though. That helps.
Yeah, he might choose to take this now. I don't think he will, but he could.
I don't mind it as last ball. It's not guaranteed, but...
No, I think he'd probably take the one on the right-hand side now to the right centre, play the other red in the centre of the table to the, potentially to the bottom. But again, it's awkward just to get onto that top red.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. The one that he's thinking about playing is your connection from the one at the top of the table. You then got the one in the middle. Obviously, then you have to play a nice controlled cannon onto the yellows just to hold onto the 8-ball because you're not going to get straight on that red. But that would be my thinking. But
yeah, I think now he's going to have to leave the red at the top to the last.
But it does go into the left centre off the yellow if he finished straight.
Yeah, he's left a nice angle here though. Just got to avoid the yellow. So much so that he's gone the other way, and that's a beautiful shot.
Still needs a cannon note.
Yeah, as long as he can get in between the gap of the two yellows, I think he's okay. And he has.
He'll take that.
You can just see there, big breath of relief. I think he'd just be happy to get over the line here.
Yeah, just steadying himself as well. A few extra looks at this 8-ball. But in it goes. Yeah, a bit of a reaction as well for Cole. He was starting to feel that.
On to our group final then. Brian Halcrow taking on Cole Bedford, and we're going to join it right at the start of the match.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Cole sort of flew off into a great start. Arguably could have won 8-0. I know Ian's missed a couple of chances in there to gift him a few frames, but he certainly looked the more settled of the two, and Brian had to work a lot harder for his win. So,
and he looked edgy getting over the line as well. He looked like he was sort of reaching for that clock to run down very early, and it led to some sort of negative tactics towards the end. I think for him to win this match, he needs to be positive, forget about the match clock right now, and just be trying to get to 8, take your chances. We saw a few nice finishes from him in the early part of the match, but then the deeper it went, the edgier he got. Whereas I don't see Cole going that way. I know it took a little while to get over the line there, but I think that was just the way the game played out rather than any edginess.
Yeah, Cole's not going to give Brian as many opportunities as Brian got in his first match. So it's how Brian will respond to that as the professional. It's all going to be about getting onto the 8-ball here. You'll probably use the yellow that's just away from the one near the left centre. So we'll draw this back now for the one on the right hand side. Just use the natural angle to get onto the 8-ball.
Yeah, and he can pick the angle he wants from. He's worked these out really nicely. Big area. Doing our work for us. That's where he wants to put it. Thanks, Cole.
Yeah, often the player that goes second has that chance to carry the momentum. But Ian Stagg did come back at Cole a little bit there in the back end of that match, so you could see Cole was visibly happy to get over the line. And he's got off to a flying start here, should he sink this 8-ball.
Another break clearance for Cole Bedford. He started his first match with a break clearance. He starts this one with one as well.
Obviously, he's very vocal on Twitter, is Mark Williams. He's talking about his day and talking about what he's up to. And he just started talking about pool all of a sudden over the last few months. He obviously got out of his club down in Wales, and you know, I think his son plays a little bit as well, and we just started engaging with him and having a little bit of back and forth, and one thing led to another, and the conversation, and so chuffed that he's on board. I think he's going to be fantastic, you know, for the game.
Yeah, he genuinely enjoys playing. I tried to get him onto Ultimate Pool Extra for an interview, and it was hard to try and nail him down for a time and a place because he was playing pool all the time. So, yeah, it's yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing Mark play. Great character.
Yeah, he's had a pool table put into his house. You know, he's constantly asking me about the rules and what have you. But having played over in China as well, he is familiar with the rule set. So I honestly do think that he could do some damage.
Well, back to this match, and this is a good chance for Buzzer. This would be a great response. It helps him hugely if the one directly left of the 8-ball, if that goes there, you can see it. I was going to say, if that ball goes top left, sorry, top right, or top left actually, it really helps him. It gets his connection from the middle of the table up top, and if it goes top left, I think it's even better than top right. Yeah,
Buzzer's going to have to live with Cole here because Cole's not going to miss many opportunities. And he's not, although he did have, play a few tactical shots in the last match, he's just going to come and look to pop Brian off the table here. So if this yellow does go through the gap of the 8 and the yellow, which I think it does, to the top right.
It definitely goes top right. We've seen that earlier on.
I think he could probably going to play on it now. Off this yellow into the middle.
You can see it there on that camera angle. It definitely goes up there.
Yeah, so if it does, he can just... He's got a few options here now.
I think he's got the perfect angle. Here you saw the tap of the knee from Cole Bedford, who's right behind the line of this shot. I think Cole does give you a little bit in his chair, and normally when he taps his knee, he's kind of sort of, that's the bit where he's sort of almost signifying, okay, yeah, job done.
Yeah, this is the key shot for me here now, though.
Yeah, I actually thought he might have a better angle than that in terms of, I thought he could maybe just stun into the red and leave dead straight on this yellow, but now he's going to have to actually play a delicate one.
Yeah, and he does.
Yeah, beautiful.
Love the responses from Brian. Yeah, he did. Again, another one who I think he'll cause a few upsets. These guys, yes, they're fantastic snooker players, but put them onto a pool table and, they can do the job as well. Yes, the patterns and the position might not be as clinical as some of the bigger stars within Ultimate Pool, but they'll quickly pick it up. I believe that I might be wrong in saying this, but I think Ryan Day is connected to Jordan Shepherd in some way. I think that whether he's a relative or a family friend, that's how the connection to Ultimate Pool was made.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're friends, and they. I know that Ryan certainly watched Jordan play quite a bit with Ultimate Pool. For me, with the snooker stars we've got, it's how much they want to commit to learning the patterns and stuff in terms of their potting, their cue ball control, their ability. Obviously, it's adjusting to the sort of the smaller table, the smaller balls, and also the fact the cue ball's smaller than the object ball, which is a slight dynamic they need to get used to. But it's then how much do they want to sort of commit to learning those puzzles, and I'm fascinated to see how they get on. Well, Cole's getting himself lined up for a double here. Just wants to pull back because I think pull back a few inches here and he'll be about right. He's already shown us he's very comfortable and confident on his doubles.
He's just grimacing a little bit there. I'm not sure whether he's quite happy with this.
I think he's okay. I think he would have loved another roll on it, but...
Yeah, I think he's okay as well, but...
Yeah, straight in the heart of the pocket. Touch of the Phil Harrisons there from Cole Bedford as he delivers another break clearance.
Brian Halcrow won the next 2 frames to go in front for the first time.
Yeah, the World Championships will be held over in Morocco next year.
8-ball. Oh, wow, that could have been huge. That could have been huge. How close is this? It's as close as it gets, isn't it? Close as it gets. But it's dry, which means Cole Bedford gets the opportunity. Okay, it's not an easy one. And as I said, he's under pressure for the first time tonight. First time he's been behind in either match.
Yeah, the 8-ball's a little bit awkward, isn't it? Especially for the two yellows that are above it. You'd like to think that the one that's going into the left centre is, you know, you can use that to drift down onto it. But you know, the one on the rail.
I think he's got the one bottom right is earmarked as his last ball.
Yeah.
So he's the one on the left-hand side is the big one. But we've already seen him pull out a few big doubles tonight, so he doesn't have to play on it down the cushion. He could. He's got an angle just to top behind it. He could just pull back and play the double.
You might just choose to just play on it.
Exactly that.
Nice finish this from Cole if he takes these out.
Interesting way he's played that one. He could have left it short of the red, so he had loads of angle on the yellow to drift to the middle of the table. Now he's got straight. He's got to top it quite a long way through, which he's done. But now he has the natural angle. If he'd drifted, if he'd left more angle on the one, he could have got more into the middle of the table and left it so he could get right behind the 8-ball. He's just going to have a little bit more distance onto it, but it's not too tricky. Very good visit to the table, that. Very impressive from Cole Bedford. Eight-ball, golden break for Cole Bedford. We nearly saw one from Brian Halcrow, immediately responded by Cole Bedford. Oh, he knew it. As soon as that red came across, 8-ball was in the middle of the table, all of a sudden it's in, and just like that, Cole Bedford's 2 frames, or back in front with 2 frames on the trot.
The next 2 frames were shared. Brian now has the break at 5-4 behind.
Yeah, the golden break has just made it almost impossible. And that 8-ball's on the move again. Made it almost impossible for it to be the match clock coming into play. But like you said, you never know. You just need a couple of awkward frames. And at first glance, this isn't simple.
Well, first glance, my thought was yellows, but I think reds, I mean, the only yellow he can pot's the one he's nearest to, top left, and that's awkward. But reds actually have a chance that aren't that bad. Okay, he's got to play a couple of really good shots to get into the visit, but the 3 to the bottom of the table aren't too bad. And if you can get good position at the top, you're not too bad. This is a thin snick. Oh, okay, I like it. That's worked out really well. Plays off one to pot the other to control the cue ball at the top of the table, and he's done well with where the ball he hit's gone as well.
Doesn't want to end up behind this 8-ball though, and I think he has.
Yeah.
That's a big error. And he's let us all know about it as well.
Yeah, the shot before. I thought that I like his shot. You know, it gave him some control, but he had quite a lot of angle on that ball, and he would have wanted to play on the 3 on the left side before the one on the right, because they needed a little bit of working out. But anyway, you can't see anything now, so just don't give away the foul and turn the table over.
Yeah, it's about as good a result as he could have asked for. Does this yellow that's now next to the red, does that pass into the middle? If it does, he might choose to take it now. I don't think it does.
Yeah, it's very tight. I don't think it does. Even if it does, he's got one problem on the left-hand side. Maybe that squeezes off the red with double. But he's not playing the one into the centre pocket that you're talking about. So just a safety shot. Just a safety shot, but he's left the red on.
It's not easy, but it's a chance.
It's not easy, but it's. I think Cole will be very happy to be taking this on.
It's there.
Those sort of shots you almost fancy him to make, really.
It's a bit risky.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's gone wrong again. He's going to have to pull out something big here now to
needed to be more precise. Sort of overhit the shot for me. Just needed to come through and just play a little soft cannon onto the yellow, and then he leaves the other red with an angle to get onto the other one without moving things too far. Okay, on another day he catches that full ball and he's perfect, but just slightly overdid it. Can still get out, but it's a big double.
He's got it.
Oh, he's so good at doubles, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's so good at the doubles.
Gareth Potts calls Phil Harrison the best doubler in the game, and like his facial expressions, he's also doubling like him tonight.
He is.
It's a great shot again. Just use the yellow there nicely, and for the first time in the match, there's a 2-frame advantage.
Yeah, that was very good. That was one that teased Brian as well, because he would have expected to get back to the table then, and great double, great pot. And 8-ball flying around once again, but in the end stays in the middle of the table, and he does make other balls, and he is on yellows, and I think he'll be quite happy with that.
Just missed the ball that he took there. I think it was a yellow.
It is a yellow. He can now play on the top of the 3 together. Well, he's going to play a cannon instead. I don't think he needed to play the cannon at all.
I don't think he did. It was a bit of a risk, and he's just held up a hand of apology there. He's not left Brian anything obvious.
He could unpick that one. If he plays yellow left centre, he can get onto the top one of those 3 together to the bottom right corner, and then it all sort of unpicks and unfolds. And and he's played the cannon trying to make it better, but it didn't need to be any better.
Brian just having the shake of the head there. It's one of those, isn't it, where the opposing player goes for something, doesn't get it, and leaves you with nothing. I think Brian's looking at a double here. It's the only thing he can do.
It is frustrating, but when a player's got a chance as good as Cole Bedford had there, Brian should be happy that he gets to the table. Now, I know he would have wanted more than what he's got, but
yeah,
it's a great double.
It's a great shot.
Yeah, that wasn't a full pocket. It's still a long way from out, though, but at least he's into the visit. There's only one ball that doesn't have a great pocket, though.
Well, if Brian Halcrow can find a counter clearance here, all of a sudden he's right back in this. Got work to do yet, though.
Yeah, this is tricky. You can go a few different ways, but it's all about the one nearest the bottom left-hand corner. Oh, it goes to the bottom left. Sorry, bottom right, bottom left as we look from the overhead, and he's not on it. He was trying to slide by it. I didn't think it went in that pocket, but you can see on the overhead it does. He just needed the cue ball to track down another, well, a few rolls. The reason he's getting the cue ball cleaned, the cue ball went on a path he wasn't expecting and hit the yellow. He thought he was sliding by it, and he thinks that he got a kick, which is why the cue ball threw a little bit wider.
Yeah, and he's just rushing a little bit now because of that. Well, if you're going to get on this red now, you're going to have to pull out an absolutely fantastic shot.
Yeah, he's got plenty of angle on this one, but it's a tough pot, and he's got to get the cue ball across to the left-hand side cushion. Oh, he got the cue ball, or nearly got the cue ball, but misses the pot by a distance.
Yeah, and this match is just starting now to edge away from Brian Halcrow. You can't give too many opportunities like this to Cole Bedford. He will take them out.
Yeah, he was having a look to see if the one he's nearest goes bottom right, but he really doesn't need it to. It goes bottom left comfortably enough. Everything's got a pocket. He's got plenty of ways he can work around the table here.
Oh, what a miss that is. That is absolutely criminal. He's absolutely fuming with himself.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, actually, because he was trying just to pick it straight. He didn't. If he makes that centre pocket, the cue ball goes into the red. The red then blocks the yellow to the same corner. And that's the reason he missed it, but he just took a little bit of a liberty there. That could be such a massive moment. That really is huge.
Yeah, if Brian capitalises here and he's absolutely perfect on this 8-ball, that could be absolutely massive. And it's there, 6-5 to call now.
Didn't look at other options.
Yeah, and Brian's had he's been unfortunate here. Nice split again, but comes up dry.
Yeah, not a great chance. I don't think the red goes to the top left, and then if you have to take yellows, then there's a yellow, at least one problem yellow at the bottom. Problem and a half, you'd say.
You might try and solve that now. If you can just get enough angle to nudge it slightly, and he'll leave himself a shot.
Not sure that's opened it up, so...
No, I think it's actually made it more awkward.
Yeah. The problem is, if he keeps going, which you know he's going to, it's if he doesn't get out, he's just going to make the game open for Brian.
He's such a good potter, is Cole, but in these instances, all he's doing here is playing into Brian's hands.
2 cushions into it.
What a shot that is!
It is, but he's not on anything.
I think he's actually on the yellow to the top left. It's thin, but I think it does go. Now, where the cue ball is going to be going after he plays this shot?
I think he's the double.
What a shot that is!
Oh, wow!
What a finish this will be. If he gets out from here, this will be the finish of the night.
And he can as well. It looks awkward, but I think the natural here, he can get back out past the 8-ball. Even going into the 8-ball would be fine. Yeah, past it. Oh, this is something else. He still has to put the finishing touches to it, and this is finished a little bit awkward. He may have to just accept what he's got here. Oh, he's come out perfect. Brilliant. This one will hurt Brian Halcrow. He would have expected to get back to the table 2 or 3 times, or get to the table 2 or 3 times in this visit. And he's not going to. What a visit by Cole Bedford. What a finish.
Brian responded by winning the next 2 frames to take us to a decider. Cole Bedford has the break.
Oh, he's dry. First chance goes to the buzzer. Hits them pretty well, actually. But nothing drops. A little bit congested in the middle of the table. I think he's eyeing up the reds. Don't think he likes much of the yellows, but there's still a problem. Red or 2.
Good shot.
Brilliant. He could open up everything here in the first 2 shots. Play the red off the yellow into the left centre. Depends on what the path of the cue ball he can pick here, but he's got one more red that's awkward there. Does it go top right straight away?
If it does, this is a big chance.
That first shot was excellent from Brian. It really was.
Under the circumstances as well. 15 seconds glaring down you. It does go. So, just hold your nerve here, Brian.
Yeah, just wants to make sure he comes past the straight, or gets at least straight on the red into the left centre pocket, just so he can drift into the gap. This has been brilliant, and he's just the wrong side of straight.
Yeah, he's going to be flirting with this yellow now, isn't he?
Is he just straight enough that he can just stop it? I think he probably is. He's just about, yeah, he's perfect.
Well, the fact
yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's fine.
Got his head in his hands.
Yeah.
Well, 2 big shots away from a massive win for Brian Halcrow. You must say he's dug in this match.
Oh, wow.
Brian. Wow. He just snatched across it.
Yeah, that was the...
It just looks so unsure, didn't he? Just need to punch through it, and he was home and hose there. Yeah,
he could just stun it in. He actually... you either try to drag it in or he's completely decelerated, come straight across the ball there. And yeah, it's a bad miss. It really is. All the hard work was done. Oh, has he been left an edge?
Brian's just having a look here, yeah. Cole's,
he's been left an edge. It's a tough pot, but he'll take it. Oh, he's overcut it. Would you believe it? And now Cole Bedford has a golden chance.
Is he just stuck on this yellow?
I think he's fine.
No, he's okay.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine.
Well then, Cole.
Oh, Brian Halcrow's had his chance. Now Cole Bedford has his.
This has been 1 minute 30, 7 balls left. You'd expect him to be there.
Just has to hold himself together. He's just connect up. No traffic in the way. One minute and 5 seconds, no real time pressure. 15 seconds a shot, almost can't run out of time.
Well, this match has just had a little bit of everything, hasn't it? And there it is.
Yeah, just the 8 ball. He's just gone a little bit past it, but he's still more than comfortable. What a match this has been. But it is Cole Bedford that gets over the line in the decisive and final 15th frame. He wins the match 8 frames to 7 over Brian Halcrow, who will be kicking himself on such a great chance to win it himself. But it is Cole Bedford that makes it through to the second stage of Ultimate Pool, the Masters.